What is happening, y'all? And welcome back to another episode of... Oh, shitty intro, bro. Shitty intro. We're gonna try that again, y'all. What is happening, y'all? And welcome back to another episode of Off the Dome, or OTD for short, which might catch on, or might not. I am your host, slash co-host, slash producer, slash marketing rep, slash sales rep, slash producer, slash mixer, if that exists in the podcasting world. Regardless, this is my podcast, and I am Matt Z. How are y'all doing today? Thank you for coming to this wonderful episode. I have a very special guest for you guys today. For all you new people listening, thank you for taking the time to enjoy my talking and my ranting. You will not be disappointed, ? Maybe you will. I don't know what your taste is. I just kind of make shit and I post it, you know? But anyways, though, I have a very special guest today. Her name is Audie B. She is a musician slash rapper from Paris, France, originally from Australia. But, you know, I could talk about the podcast, but then at the end of the day, it would be a podcast about a podcast. And who wants to listen to a podcast about a podcast? So I'm just going to shut up about the podcast, and I'm just going to go on a fucking rant, because that's what I do, because I've been up since 4 a.m. It's currently 9:30 a.m., and I am drinking coffee. I have been go for the last 5.5 hours. Well, not necessarily my body. My brain's been like fucking... But, you know, that's what I do. That's one thing I've learned about this whole quarantine. I can talk for fucking hours to myself about random shit. Because I can just go and my brain's just a fucking, what do you call those things? You spin them, those, I forget what they're called. But anyways, though, they just go on forever and ever and ever and ever. And that's what I kind of found my brain is like. And that's one thing that I've learned during this whole coronavirus thing. And there's a lot more things I've learned about myself. Like, I know when I'm going to look back at this whole epidemic, situation, we've been forced to isolate, even within our households, where it's my parents are kind of living upstairs, I'm in my basement. You know, we try and minimize the amount of contact. Even though at the end of the day, it's if I touch one doorknob and then they touch the doorknob, and I were to say be asymmetric, and I would to touch the doorknob and they would touch it, they would catch it. But at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it's all about reducing those touch points. You know, like, I mean, it sounds stupid because at the end of the day, they're most likely going to get it if one of us were to have it. But it's the principle of giving that peace of mind just in case. But anyways, though, one thing I have learned about myself, which I've already said 3 times, I think, is I just fucking talk, man. And that's one thing I've started these intros for. Because I can literally just write down 3 or 4 blips and just go off on it. You know, and there's just so, but to go, see, now I lost my train of thought because but to kind of go back to my original point, being that I'm going to look back at this whole situation as a very huge moment in my understanding of who I am, you know, because I know when you're alone with your thoughts, a lot of people go to dark places. You know, myself included. I did go a few days where I was just bummed out doing nothing. I'm like, well, fuck, you're just worthless sack of shit right now because you're doing nothing. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing, nothing. But, like, you learn stuff when you go to those dark places about yourself. You learn, why do I feel that way? Why don't I feel that type of way? Why do I do the things I do? Why do I say the things I do? And like I said, like, this could be a moment where in a few years I'm going to look back and say, hey, you know, that was a dark time in everybody's life, you know, from their economic situation, from their social situation, to their own mental state. It was a dark place for everybody because everybody's just doing nothing, watching Netflix, playing video games. And I'm hoping that a lot of people who are going through these tough times see that light in the end of the tunnel, and they understand that, okay, 2 years, this is going to be a time where we look back and realize that it might have actually been a very positive movement or momentum shift in everybody's lives. Like there's a quote where it's like, people are able to look at themselves the closest will really get the most rational and true results of who they are. And that's one thing that's been nice about this whole pandemic, is the amount of bullshit that we clog our minds with has been minimized. We're not distracted by, I gotta go to the gym today. You're at the gym working out. That's what you're thinking about. You see people, you're always interacting with people. You're never just kind of alone. Even if you are, say, working out with your headphones in, you're not really alone. There's people around you. Even if you're not interacting with them, just their presence is changing your mental state. Or even when, say, you're out at the mall, you're at the movie theater, I always found that we're always constantly bombarded with shit. And now that there's no shit, we're able to kind of scrape it all back and get a really good picture of who we are. And the best part about this is there's no expectations right now. I know with work, there's no expectations. There's no, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. You have to be presentable. You have to act this certain way. It's like there's no expectations right now. So when you don't have any expectations, I feel like you're really able to find out what you love, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what you like, what you don't like doing, and like I said, another quote I heard is, being lazy isn't a bad thing. It just shows you don't want to do it. That's not for you. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I know with this podcast, I have been lazy, but one thing that I took away from this is that it's like the whole theory about living forever. If you're going to live forever, why get out of bed today? Because you can always get out of bed tomorrow. Right? And that's the thing with this epidemic. It's, all right, well, today is May 7th. I have a few things to do with work. But at the end of the day, I know I have 22 hours to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And Friday, tomorrow, I'll have 21 hours to do whatever the fuck I want to do. So why would I waste my time today when I can just do nothing today, when I can just put it off till tomorrow? And, I like the saying where I'll do it tomorrow is today's best friend. And I'm super guilty of that. That's my huge kryptonite I have, is I'm always pushing shit off. And especially during this pandemic, it was, fuck it, man. Why not push it off? I'll just do it tomorrow, because I got nothing to do tomorrow. So at least I got something to do tomorrow then, if I do nothing today. Then tomorrow comes around, and then you kind of just go, fuck, I pushed it off. I'll just do it tomorrow, Fresh start, Friday's a good day to start fresh. And then Friday comes around, and you're just like, why the fuck did I think Friday was a good day to start fresh? Let's start Monday. Then you wake up Monday morning. Man, I don't want to work Monday morning. What the I'll work in the afternoon. And the afternoon comes around on a Monday, and then that's when you say, nah, just do it tomorrow. Monday, it's a long weekend, I'll push it off. I'll do it Tuesday. Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. Let's go. Let's get it. 6 a.m. comes around, the alarm goes off. Why the fuck am I waking up at 6 a.m. when I don't have to be up till 9 p.m. to go to bed then? So, Tuesday gets pushed off. Wednesday comes around. Okay, fuck, now everything I had to do Monday, Tuesday has compounded onto Wednesday. Who the fuck starts their week on a Wednesday, man? You know what I mean? But maybe I'll get half the things done. Maybe. I'll just do the other half tomorrow. It's Thursday, I'll just do those tomorrow, whatever. I have nothing to do. Thursday comes around. I'll just start Friday, get a good start to the weekend. I'll do everything on the weekend, I'll just start working on weekends. So I have the weekdays to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And then fucking weekends come around. Who the fuck works on a weekend? I'll just start Monday morning. And then the whole cycle just starts over and over and over again. And that's been the battle I've been battling during this pandemic. So, but now I'm very aware of it. So I think if you're going to fix a problem, you got to be aware of the problem. If you put your blinders on and you don't critically and analytically analyze the problem, there's no problem. You know, you just, I have no problem doing this. But then, like, for me, that just kind of hung on my conscience, you know. And that's what really started to get me bummed out, was just procrastinating everything, you know. But then at the end of the day, it's I think I've mentioned this before for whoever has listened to these intros. I know. Congrats to you if you listen to these intros. I thank you and I applaud you for having the bravery to stick it out through these intros. But it's called adding wood to the fire, you know. And I've been kind of experimenting with this whole ideology or theory, where it's, so say you have a shitty day, you know, 2 o'clock comes around, you've done nothing, keep telling yourself you're going to do something, you're not going to do it though, you keep lying to yourself, and then 2 o'clock comes around and you say, fuck, okay, do I either get going and just kind of bullshit my way through this day and then not really learn anything, you know, because I'm going to go to bed and say, well, I got everything done, fuck, sure, everything done, so then tomorrow I'll do it again, you know, I'll get really hard on myself at 2 p.m. and then eventually I'll bullshit my way through and then go to bed thinking, you know, I did everything I need to do today. I think we're good. So I was kind of doing that for a bit, where, you know, I get hard on myself, but I thought, fuck it, let's do the adding wood to the fire. So 2 o'clock came around. No, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna, you know, go feel like shit more so. I'm gonna go to a darker place, you know. And then once I kind of went to those darker places, you know, where you're really able to look at yourself really closely. And why the fuck do I do that shit? You know, really get in there and really get in your mind, you know, get kind of trapped in your mind for the day. And then you go to bed and you kind of feel like shit. You know, you just go to bed, you're like, fuck, man, you know, maybe if I just stay up till 3 a.m. I can get everything I need to do. But it's like, no, fuck that shit. Go to bed. Do nothing today. Feel like shit. Because in the morning, you're not going to want to do nothing. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I was able to kind of get out of that rut. Where instead of just bullshitting my way through feeling like shit all the time and just getting by and just doing the bare minimum for me to not really notice the impact of me putting things off, I said, fuck it. I'm gonna go to that dark place. You know? And it's been working for me, honestly. Because I woke up, like today, I fucking woke up at 4 a.m. Who the fuck wakes up at 4 a.m. when you got nothing to do today? I did it today. You know, and I've fucking wired off coffee. I feel great right now. You know, it might be the coffee. It might be because I put shit off and I kind of went to that dark place of being like, feeling like shit. And then I don't want to feel like that. You know, like, you know, hard work has a way of, you know, giving you that sense of accomplishment. You know, you feel good about yourself when you do that shit. Yeah, you're not comfortable doing it, but like, who grows when you're comfortable? Like, when you're working out, are you comfortable when you're on that 12th rep? You know, you got fucking 225 on the bar. You're like, oh, I don't think I can do this, you know? You get it down to your chest, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck. You know, like, your chest is on fire. You don't think you're gonna do it, but you do it. You know, you dig deep and you push it up. You know, you're uncomfortable there, and you grow. Like, whenever you're forced to be uncomfortable, you're then forced to grow. And working out is the perfect analogy for that. But like I said, though, you know, at the end of the day, I really hope there's a lot of negatives and a lot of shittiness that has come from this coronavirus. Most importantly, people are dying from this. People are going weeks of being sick, you know, dying without your loved ones there. That's fucking tragic. I'm sorry. Like, you know, like there's been times I'm lying in bed and I thought, man, what if I wake up and I have the coronavirus? You know, I know I have it. I have a fever. I can't breathe. Like, will I be able to even say bye to the people I love? You know, like, so it's put things into perspective where, you know, we're kind of, every one of us are kind of having that in our thoughts, you know, it's subconscious. We have that knowledge that, fuck, you know, I know down in the States there's the one guy who, I think he had some symptoms, so he isolated, felt better, and then died from it. Even after he felt better from it, he died in his sleep. So then it's like, I heard that story and I'm just like, fuck, man, like, what if the last time I go to bed is the last time I say bye to my loved ones? And that's a fucking sad thing, you know, and it puts things into perspective. Even though personally for me, I've heard word of mouth of, oh, so-and-so's got it and they were sick for a week or two. Like, I've heard that, but like nobody close to me or nobody I have a personal relationship to my knowledge has gotten it. So it's like, even though I haven't really been affected from this virus, it's still in my mind that there's that chance. But anyways though, this intro went on for a long time. And it got dark. You know, usually these intros are pretty funny and ranty and stupid, but, you know. Fuck, my coffee's cold though. That's a piss off actually. But, you know, in a negative situation, just gotta try to find the positives. Being optimistic, you know. But I guess let's talk about this podcast. My guest today, Audie B, like I said, and this will be the third time I've probably said this, and I've also kind of did a little intro on the podcast as well too. So actually, with that in mind, I am going to shut up. So like always, you guys can enjoy this beautiful podcast. And if anybody's listening to this particular moment, please follow me on Instagram at offthedome. Actually, well, it's off_the_dome. Toss a follow to the Instagram page. Greatly appreciated. I know I've been kind of on and off with this podcast, but my computer was fucked up for like a week or so. But it's working now, so hopefully we got everything going though. But like I said, I ran too much, so I'll just shut up right now. And please enjoy this podcast, you guys. I had a great time recording it. A lot of fun. I'm really hoping to get more of these different types of people. You know, I love talking to my natural market and getting to know them a bit more and just bullshitting with them. But at the end of the day, it's super nice just to get to know somebody who I've never talked before and then just sit down and talk to them for an hour and a half. Like, I had a great time recording this podcast. Fantastic time. So I hope you guys have as much fun as I did recording this as you guys do listening to it. I hope I did not mess that up. Anyways though, enjoy this podcast, y'all. Peace.
Fucker right in the pussy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are live. All right, so today my guest is Audie B. She is a rapper based out of Paris right now. I am, to my best of my knowledge, she had lived in Australia for some time as well too. But right now she resides in Paris and she is on the podcast. So how are you doing today?
Yes, hi. Good. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah,
No, thank you for coming on. This is awesome. How are you keeping busy during this crazy coronavirus time?
Yeah, look, it's been really difficult, I think, for a lot of people, and especially, you know, when the world is right now that, you know, a lot of people live away from family, live in different countries. But It's been good. Thank goodness for technology. We always, call in, Skype calls, WhatsApp. We just try to keep in contact with people, and I think that's the most important thing. And artist wise, we just try to bring out music in the digital with the digital means that we have today. So yeah, we're working from isolation and using different means and ways to keep working and keep getting music out there and making sure everyone's safe. So
Perfect. But yeah, no, you're talking about. I was talking about how it's kind of like a good time for artists in a way. You know what I mean?
yeah, I actually think it is
Mhm.
because we're trying to work with different mediums. I think it's a good time for artists, but for everyone as well, working in
Mhm.
all different types of industries, learning how to work with different technologies, working from home, working through Zoom meetings and
Exactly. Yeah.
moving forward that way.
No, for sure. I know, like just myself included, like a lot of time I'm working from home, but instead of commuting to downtown where I would work, plus working 8 hours, plus commuting home. That's a 10-hour day that takes to go to work and come home. But it seems that like now that I'm home and I can just kind of zone in, focus on all my work, get it done in 3 hours, it seems like at times. And now I have 21 hours to be creative and have fun with stuff, try new things, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, no, a lot of optimism, but at the same time, it's a definitely a difficult time as well too because everybody is stuck inside.
Yeah, I think a lot of people it also depends, I've been seeing a lot of people obviously stuck inside a little apartment in Paris. Well, is quite different to if I had have been stuck back home in Australia, with the backyard and with sun. Yeah, so I know some people are going through difficult times and shout out to all of them, but keep strong. We're nearly out of it. So yeah,
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm hoping that you can definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. Like, the numbers are kind of plateauing. Some countries' numbers are going down. Um, so, I mean, I know like at least here in Canada, like where I am right now, I'm pretty northern Canada.
yeah,
And we don't actually have a lot of cases up in our city. So I live in Edmonton, which is a city of 1 million people. And I think we only have maybe like 1,500 cases right now, and that's total cases. So I think what's going to happen here is that it's going to be a second wave. That's kind of my guess, but
okay,
you never know
yeah. Hopefully,
for
we have
sure.
our fingers crossed that there isn't a second wave. That's what they're a bit worried about in Australia as well, because they're going into winter, whereas in France and Europe, it's more going into summer. So there's going to be less of a flu season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So I guess I got kind of I'm interested about you. I know I've been following you on Instagram now for
Thank you.
a few months now, actually. I know you just released a song.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I do not know how to pronounce it. I am not good with any other language besides English, and even then, I'm half on that. But what was the title of your new track, Oi Professor?
Yeah, oye, profesor. Um,
Okay,
it
there.
is a bit like saying, "Hey, professor." Um,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, okay.
yeah, so it's a Spanish title, and it was inspired by Casa del Papel, so Money Heist, the series. So hence, by the
Mm.
Spanish and the Spanish title and the Spanish in the text and in the lyrics.
Okay, I know. I was reading through the lyrics yesterday, actually, and I saw some lyrics were Spanish, or I mean, at the time, I actually thought it was French, but yeah, I was reading. I was like, "Whoa, she's rapping in more than one language in one song. Like that is super impressive.
Oh, thank
Like
you,
wow."
thank you. Haven't done French yet, but might get onto it as well.
Are you pretty fluent in Spanish?
Yeah, I am actually. I did some intensive courses in Madrid, and when I was at
Hmm.
university in Australia, I learnt Spanish as well, so kept on learning Spanish there. And I've just always really loved the Spanish culture and speaking Spanish. I think it's a beautiful language. So
Hmm.
I decided to go with the flow, especially music wise. I love the flow. I love the Latino vibes. So really wanted to add that into one of my songs. Yeah.
No, for sure. And you did a great job on it. It's a
Mhm.
fantastic song. Fantastic song. I know you said you had went to university, but do you want to kind of paint that whole backstory of what led you to the moment you are now? Like, I know you were born in Paris, correct?
Yes, I was.
And then you had moved to Australia, correct?
Yes, that's right. So
Okay.
I moved to Australia. My mother's actually Australian, and we moved there when I was young. I did all my up until basically university in Sydney, and I was
Mm,
always dancing. I've actually always been sort of on this artistic journey, I guess, where I've been
mhm.
dancing, since the age of 3, and then went on to be dance teacher, choreographer um, in
Wow.
Sydney, and then decided to leave Australia, I guess, after university. And
Hmm.
I went and worked on cruise ships actually for 3 years as a professional dancer. I
Wow.
wanted to head back to my French roots, and so
Mhm,
decided to settle in Paris and continue on the artistic journey by, I guess, me being the actor of my creations instead of just interpreting them. So I
mhm.
decided to focus on me as the artist and interpreting my songs and my creations, and bringing my messages out. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful, actually. How I know, like you had said, you kind of went back to your French roots to go back to Paris. Do you have? I'm assuming you have a lot of family in Paris.
I have family in France, scattered a bit everywhere in France and in Australia as well, and but not so much in Paris. But yeah, families in France. A bit,
In France, yeah,
yeah,
for sure. How I know I've never been to Europe. I want to go. I know all the countries are very small
yeah.
in comparison, at least to like Canada and the USA. How long does it like take to get across France, like to visit your family?
Oh, well, I do know that, just to give you a comparison, I'm not sure if this would help, but Australia is 14 times the size of France. And so I suppose in the
Wow.
United States as well. So yeah, France is quite tiny, but it
Yeah.
takes maybe, I think, 12 or 13 hours drive to go north to south, and an hour and a half via airplane. So it's quite small when you look at it. And we're
Yeah.
lucky in Europe to have the fast train. So it means, if there's a gig somewhere, or you want to collaborate with someone, whether it be in the UK or Germany or anywhere in France, it's very quick with the TGV trains, the fast trains.
Mhm. No, for sure. I know, like, I guess you said 12 hours. So in Canada, we have provinces, and the province I live is in Alberta, and it takes 12 hours just to get across that
That
province from north to
province.
south. So it's like quite a bit smaller France is compared to Canada. But I guess I know, like, are you pretty familiar with like American hip hop or?
Yeah, I am. Well, I do get my inspiration from American hip hop, and
Oh wow.
that's where basically I've American hip hop and rap, but also American and music. So, I mean, I'm in love with the Fugees. They've always been a huge inspiration for me.
Mhm.
Erica Badu, which is not so much hip hop, but yeah, Erica Badu and the Fugees, big influence, and then obviously Eminem and that hip hop side. That's who really I connected with and who was my true inspiration. And so hands
Mhm.
down, I say he's the rap god. But yeah,
Well, he made a song about it.
yeah, exactly.
um, well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I know even just for myself that you really you find a lot about yourself and ideologies and morals in music. And I know for myself, I found a lot of that in hip hop, where it's okay, one line they might be talking about, say, bitches and partying and drugs, but then the next line they'll say something deep, right? So you cut out all that other bullshit and then you get to the root of the meaning and you're like, oh wow, that's something I can actually apply to my own life. It's a guide stone, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, I think definitely. And it even, sort of goes back to, I guess, the old school hip hop, which was even more so about which was less, as you said, about, the women and the cars, but they were still there. But there's
Hmm.
always been this either underlying, whether it be political message or a family message, like messages to the little brother to say, well, don't do this in life, try to get on this right track. And I think the messages in hip hop are always very powerful, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and I think a lot of people can, even if people don't connect with the hip hop music, I think the messages can be connected and people can relate to a lot of the issues that people talk about
Hmm.
in hip hop.
No, for sure. I know like my parents kind of hate hip hop just because of that whole persona of, cars, money, jewelry, drugs.
Yeah,
Um, and they're always like kind of making fun of it, like, oh, what's that crap rap music, right?
yeah,
But at the end of the day, like, I mean, I tried, I kind of gave up. I was like, oh, whatever. I'll let them make fun of my music taste. But there's so many correlations just between, like, they grew up in the 70s.
yeah.
So they listened to a lot of, I don't even know what kind of genre it is, but it's kind of like a country. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps on switching the microphones to the another output that's not my headset.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's just super random. It seems to be doing it like every 5-10 minutes, but we'll keep an eye on that. Just whenever you don't stop hearing me, just let me know. I'll cut it up,
Okay.
but make it
Perfect.
look somewhat pretty.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's you kind of like my parents. They just they eye in on the negatives in the music and they don't see the positives in the music. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's just preference and whatever somebody likes, but
I
not
think
much you can't control.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. But I think it's important as well. People appreciate, certain lyrics, or even in
Hmm.
hip hop. It's funny because now I guess it's getting more commercialized. So before you didn't have much hip hop music; it was more pop on the radio, and now it's a lot of rap and a lot of hip hop on the radio because it's become, I guess, more commercial and more people can relate to it.
Hmm.
So the music, the instrumentals have changed. We're doing, fusion with not just sort of solid rap beats. It can bring in Latino aspects. It can bring in different types of musical instruments that
Hmm.
relate to other people as well, not just the hip hop crowd.
For sure. And then you also see hip hop artists bringing in R&B artists, right, and singers to sing
Yeah,
the chorus, right?
yeah,
Of
totally.
course. Do you? This is kind of like a random thought, but do you kind of see, like, I know there's this whole theory about race, how eventually everybody's just going to be a like a caramel mocha color.
Mhm.
Do you kind of think that music is kind of going to go that way, where there's just going to be one genre per se, or maybe not say one genre, but can narrow down to like two or three different variations of a genre? Like you might have your rock, but then you'll have your pop. But then under pop, you'll have like everything, like say hip hop, R&B, like just all that mainstream popular music. Do you kind of see it going that way, or?
I could see it going that way, but worldwide, I think, to put it this way, in the Western world, I think we may, in the States or
Mhm.
France, but the musical influences, for example, in the Middle East or, in Asia, are different. The musical instruments used are different. So I think there'll always be this eclectic side, even though it may be a melting pot. I think music has its own genres. And I think even though people can do music fusion, I think there's still very much so this distinctive, different types of music, which is still beautiful because people can be eclectic. I mean, I'm eclectic. I can listen to classical music in the
Mhm.
morning, be writing a rap in the afternoon, and then listen to electro at nighttime. So,
Mhm. No, for sure. I know at the end of the day, it's all just vibrations, right? That's really all it is. I
mm,
guess you do have all that tribal music as well too, where it's like I know up in Canada we have a lot of First Nations music, which a lot is like banging on drums,
yeah,
for example. Um, but yeah, it's just it's. I know like recently you've kind of seen a whole bunch of artists across a whole bunch of genres coming together, which is beautiful. Like all the great minds coming together to make this beautiful music. Um, how much do you prioritize collaborations, or do you kind of like just kind of, or do you enjoy just sticking to yourself and making your own music?
I love doing collaborations, and I think collaborating. also inspires you and makes you grow as an artist because you can have influences and take on also other people's perspectives, other people's way to rap, and just how you basically engage with the music or a particular beat.
Hmm.
So collaborations are great. In the meantime, well, especially these days, it's kind of hard. I'm not going into the studio, obviously. We're all isolated, so basically working on our own work and focusing. And I think it's made me just refocus on how I can expand with my own work, what types of music I want to do, different instrumentals. I'm inspired by a lot of different things, which may come
Hmm.
about to collaborations, which would be great. But at the moment, it's a solo ride during the COVID isolation.
No, for sure. Um, I know it's just to kind of go back. I am kind of curious about this. What did you take in university when you went?
Ooh, so I took at university. I did a double bachelor.
Oh wow.
I majored in government international relations. I majored in Arabic and Islamic studies, and I
Oh
also did
wow.
history and philosophy of science. So, yeah.
Holy shit. How long did that take you?
It took 4 years. I condensed it into 4 years. It should have taken five.
Mhm.
And then I went on to do a master's part time. Well, when as soon as I arrived in France, because I I love learning. Actually, I wanted to keep
Mhm.
learning and keep learning, even though I was still continuing on my artistic path. And
Mhm.
in France, I was acting in a couple of movies, had small speaking roles. I was
Wow.
TV presenting and still doing my dancing and music, but did a master's in management and strategy in France. So, yeah,
I mean, that's the I hate the ideology that, oh, I have my degree, I'm done learning. That's it
yeah,
for me, right? I know even just for myself, like I graduated last year. I'm going back to school now though, but even just in this last year, it's like I loved going to school. Like it was fun to learn stuff and have an open mind. But even just this last year of me being in the workforce, I can
yeah.
see how somebody can get caught up in that trap of just kind of being content and never being curious and never actually learning more than they already know right now.
Yeah, and I think university is not about getting your degree and just going to do whatever job you had the degree with. I think it's so much more than that. It's a learning curve
Mhm.
where you ask questions. It's a knowledge base where you can gain knowledge, gain skills, gain life skills, gain um, more questioning, and broaden your mind, which is very, very important, especially in today's world.
Of course, I know coming out of high school, I don't know what they call it in Paris or Australia if they still call it high school.
Yeah,
Um,
they do.
okay, first, but yeah, coming out of high school, like I was just fuck school, it's stupid. Why would anybody want to do this? But then I went to university and I was just like, okay, well, I'll just enroll in business because that's everywhere. And
Yeah. Those I do. I love reading a lot of books as well, and that yeah comes from university. We had to read books, and then I sort of got over it a little bit, and now I'm back into it. Where I think it's really important to pick up a book, read, not just to get learning and get inspired, but as Eminem does it when he's reading the dictionary to get new words. I feel like I need that as well to keep a vocabulary, keep inspiration, get inspiration for new tracks, get inspiration for new songs. Um, Reading is really important, and also exchanging with other people, and having debate's really important. I think a lot of people don't debate on big issues anymore, or don't like to. And I think it's good to have healthy debate to understand other people's points of view. And it gets me
Mhm.
inspired to write about it or change my analysis on a certain subject. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that point you brought up. People don't have to debate, and I'm definitely guilty of this as well too. I think a lot of people are, but it's just you get really narrow-minded in those debates sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, like my buddy and I were having a debate one time, and it turned into something small, and it just escalated into this big like 20-30 minute conversation. Great
Yeah.
conversation. Like it was, I had a lot of fun talking about it, but it did get to points where it's like I could tell both of us were looking at each other and being like, all right, how stupid are you right now? But
Mm.
it's like kind of once we got through all that other bullshit, we kind of realized that our point of views were, I don't want to say the same, but very similar. And it was just a small difference. That
Yeah.
small difference kind of escalated into this big debate, right? And I think it's just a lot of people just get so narrow minded and they just, oh, you don't believe what I believe? Like, fuck you, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Everything you're going to say is wrong now, right?
Exactly, which is not going to actually help in more debate or in more engagement or
Mm-hmm.
in changing someone's opinion. And I don't think it's about changing someone's opinion either. It's just about saying, well, there can be two sides to this. You may be wrong, I may be right, or vice versa, but that's not the point. It's about being able to listen. If people have a valid argument, it's nice to listen and have them put it forward, you know.
No, for sure. I know. So I don't know if you've been following like the USA right now for like their whole protest that's going on and how people are still going out to the beach and just kind of living life as they want to live it. And I think a lot of the protesters are protesting like, oh, you can't tell me what to do. Like if I want to go outside, if I want to go to work, I can go to work.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of stumbled across a protester on Instagram actually, and me and her like completely different beliefs. But I messaged her the other day because I was like, I want to kind of like pick your mind and at least see where you're coming from in this whole debate because at the end of the
Cool.
day, you have a justification to why you believe that, right?
Of course. Of
Right. So
course.
so it's just like and like for me, like it's gonna be hard because I know she posted a picture on Instagram of her calling the government a whole bunch of Nazis for locking them up. And in
Yeah.
my head, I saw that and I was like, okay, like make sure you definitely go in that with an open mind and try not
Yeah.
to bash her at all. So I definitely need to prep for that one. Um,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to get back to your music though. Like where do you find inspiration, like say for a song? Like do you just kind of hits you or do you stumble across it or do you have a system that kind of leads to the inspirations?
So with my inspiration for songwriting, it's kind of funny because I could wake up in the morning and have, I don't know if whether I dreamt of them or whether I woke up with, them in my head, but I have these lyrics and I might have to quickly write them down and I'll
Mm-hmm.
leave them for later. And sometimes I think being in the studio, so I work with a team in the south of France, JS Music, and they provide, work with beat makers who provide beats, and, we're in the studio and having that musical environment, being in a studio and listening to a track, listening to a beat really gets my inspiration because the beat might be somber and I might have had, you know, a crappy day, put it this way, and
Mm-hmm.
write something about my experiences that day or bring in experiences from other people to fit that mood. Um, then again, I may be, out at the beach and be listening to a beat or something, and just think, wow, this is really summery. Let's write, a song about partying and love and having fun. And yeah, so inspirations really come at any time. But having the beat, having the studio, being in that environment, in the recording studio and in the studio, really gets the mind flowing because the music's full blast and you're just
Mm-hmm.
really in the mood to the beat, and that's where I sort of get the inspiration to the lyrics or vibe that the song's going to be about.
That's awesome. What kind of atmosphere do you prefer in the studio?
Oh, what kind of atmosphere?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, a lot of the atmosphere, I mean, the studio is, usually evenings, afternoons. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're really, I mean, I love listening to loud music, but yeah, the decibels are sometimes huge, but I think that's what gets it going and gets you sort of, I don't know, like as if the beat and the music goes into you.
Mm-hmm.
It goes into your body,
Yeah.
and you really take charge of what you're going to write about or what you're going to talk about. And the ambiance, I like having the team with me. It gives me, I feed off other people's vibes as well. So having the beat maker there in the studio, having my producers teams there, the team who I work with, who help with the music videos and everything like that,
Hmm.
they visualize something as well. So it's sort of this teamwork melting pot that goes into it, where then we get, I get writing, or then we get to quickly write down a melody or top line something, or add even an instrument to the beat, make changes and really work that way.
Oh, that's awesome. I know. So I guess that would be more for the upbeat songs then, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah, for the upbeat songs, even the mellow sort of
Hmm.
songs, when
Oh,
the composer of Vision, which is an acoustic, just piano and myself, no special effects, nothing, just a piano and myself,
yeah.
Vision, that was done in the same way. It sort of just started off with the composer Kenny
Hmm.
Mills doing the piano, and then the team JS Music were there and saying, oh, this sounds really good, if you could maybe add a little bit of this. And then I would say, oh, I really would love this tone. And then the feeling that I got from it was, um, inspiration, moving forward, living your dreams. And then that's exactly as well how I felt at the time. And then so we all said, oh, well, that sounds like a good song for, for Vision and to dream and to keep pushing. And so, yeah, then I wrote the lyrics to that.
Mm, amazing. Do you usually write your lyrics by yourself, or do you write it in the studio where everybody's around you?
I usually, I like writing them even if I'm together with everyone. As I said, I love feeding off other people's vibes as well and seeing
Hmm.
the vibes to be able to write, but I'll write, I guess, on my own. So, and especially with songwriting, it can be done in Paris, when I'm not in the studio in the south of France. So I'll do some songwriting at home, and then go back down to Marseille to the recording studio, or sometimes we'll just write songs there and then. So it really depends. I adapt. I could write a song at the beach. It just depends
Yeah,
where,
for
what
sure.
context. Yeah,
It all depends when that inspiration hits you, right?
exactly. There can be, so many people, I can even be catching up with friends. It's funny because, or, people watching and catching up with friends, and then I'll just think of something and I'll just be like, yes, guys, hold on, hold that thought, hang on. I've just got four bars of, flow that I need to write down. So
Do you ever get those moments where you just say, all right, you guys, like, I need more than just 2 minutes. I need to leave. I need to go to the studio right now. I need to go home right now to do this right now because this is the best idea I've had all month. Do you ever have those moments or?
I do have those moments, but then I make sure to, have I record myself all the time as well, so I'll
Mm,
be walking down the street, and I'll just make sure that I've got that idea in my head. And once I've got that written down or placed somewhere, whether it be on a piece of paper, once I get back home or to the studio, then I move forward with it. But it's funny because sometimes when I'm in Marseille and we're at the studio, we'll be working on something, we'll have a great idea, and then say, wow, we should go with this. Okay, stand by on that idea. We need to get this going. And yeah, that's when we sort of drop everything and keep rolling with this other thing. Yeah.
before, yeah, we kind of got cut up there. You were talking about how capturing the moment and getting those ideas down. Um,
Yes.
so how, and you were saying you record them like you with your voice for your notes or?
I have my phone, my voice recorder. I quickly, write something down on a piece of paper or record, a flow or some lyrics, and then go back to it.
Mhm.
And then also, if we're in the studio and we're working on something, but think of a great idea, yes, we'll put that on standby, but quickly, work on that instrument or that beat or that flow or whatever work to just have it there and not forget it because, we've just thought of it. So when we're in the studio, it's better opportunity because we can straight away attend to it, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, if I'm out I write it down. I know it's there. I know it's in my head, and at least if it's written down, I won't forget it, and I can come back to it. Yeah.
Mhm. No, for sure. How do you? Because I know like I've for like my intros, I kind of like put like a really basic, simple beat underneath my intros just to kind of give some uh just so those dead zones in between my breaks of talking aren't so empty, right? So I kind of try and
Mhm.
put music underneath it. But like for me, when I'm trying to think of music in my head, it just doesn't process. So I'm like trying to think like, oh, what makes this sound? Like how are these sounds coming together for this song? Like
Yeah.
I just can't process that in my brain. How do you process that well in your brain? Like, are you able to say, okay, I can distinctively understand this instrument is making these noises? Like, are you very good with that, or?
I wouldn't say that's my forte,
Mm-hmm.
but especially with music nowadays, when we think we're listening to, you know, a piano and a violin and, you know, another instrument, it's actually just all synthetic. A lot of music is synthetic and not really
Mm-hmm.
instruments being played and being recorded or added onto. So yeah, I love, well, basically when we do beats, I love starting from scratch to know, oh, I want this voice, for example. Even I love having little voices in my
Mm-hmm.
in my backtracks. I want this little voice, I want this violin, and I love how that comes together. So it is quite distinctive, but a lot of music these days is quite synthetic and is not real instruments being played, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I know on my computer, it's a software that I downloaded for like $50, and it has all these preset sounds on it,
Yeah.
right? And you can
Yeah.
adjust the sounds and whatnot. Do you use real instruments, or do you just kind of use the soundboard?
My the beat makers who I work with use
Okay.
real instruments and soundboards. So we will be in the studio working together, and I mean within what's possible, you know, I'll say, oh, can you add a violin here? Can you add
Hmm.
a piano in this? Can you add, you know, this beat? And sometimes it will be, you know, the real instrument that they have, and if it's, you know, um, a flute or something, or these voices that I like having that are just basically syllables and vowels, high pitched, that I love
Hmm.
having in my songs, then they're obviously synthetic and done with the software. Yeah.
Yeah, but at that moment, you kind of just have to do what you got to do to get by. It's at times, right?
Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure. Um, when I know for myself, the moment that I kind of started to see myself being like, okay, it was not, I forgot, I don't know how to word this, but the moment I kind of found myself really starting to be able to expand as a human being, like starting this podcast was a huge thing that I did this year.
Yeah.
But it all did come back to starting to write down notes. Like right now, I got a diary right here where I just, oh shit, this idea, let me just write this down. Maybe I'll come back to this in a week. Maybe I'll come back to this in a day. You never know. That was kind of the moment that where I knew I was like, okay, this is something that I really enjoy and I need to start doing just because it betters my life. Did you really find that when you started to take notes, or?
When I started to take notes, I take notes all the time. Even
Mm,
when I was dance teaching choreographing, I would actually like have people being circles, and you know,
mm,
each little circle was a person, and you know, I'd have this minute change, and you know, draw the next page these circles to have that formation for the choreography. And it's the same thing with music, whether it
mm,
be writing down an idea, writing down an inspiration, writing down someone's advice,
mm,
writing down notes after, yeah, same thing as you, listening to podcasts,
mm,
listening to people, successful artists talk about, you know, their hardships and how they've overcome things and how they've been able to unlock certain artistic keys. Um, I write it all down and have it there. Once I know it's there, it's there. I mean, I'm the same as you. You should see my notes all over the shop, and then my song lyrics and my songwriting. It's paper after paper, which is not very um, ecologically sane, let's say. But yeah,
Don't worry, I
what
don't think
I'm
anybody's gonna
guilty.
come arrest you for that.
Yeah, I'm guilty as charged.
When was the moment that you knew you wanted to devote your time to becoming an artist? Because I know you had done dance before,
Yeah.
but like when was that moment where you're just like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to make sure that this happens. I'm going to devote all my time to this.
I think I had yeah, always been, it has always been this artistic journey, but a couple of years ago when I was in France and I had sort of stopped dancing, well, not stopped dancing, but slowed down on obviously the intensity of the dancing, and was, you know, doing a bit of acting and TV presenting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, and I would always, you know, sort of at parties or, you know, things like that, spit out, you know, Azealia Banks 212, you know,
Yeah.
Eminem, Lose Yourself, spit out all these lyrics. And I had been songwriting and things like that. And um, then when I met with these producers in the south of France, and that's when I sort of thought, yeah, actually, this is where I want to go, because I am the artist and I can create and interpret, not just be interpreting other people's work. So 2 years ago, yeah, that's when I said, wow, I really want to get into this music and I really want to send messages, and I have so much to say and I have so many stories to tell, and I want to bring them out to everyone, and I thought this is the time, you know, this is the moment. So
That's amazing. Do you typically like I know like you're really into dancing. I know like how many live shows do you typically perform, and how do you kind of um, plan out what you're going to do on the stage?
well, my my recent live shows have been in my lounge room.
Those are the best ones, right?
Yeah, the COVID Insta Live concert.
Yeah, I watched the other one the other day. I think that was on Monday. What day
Yeah,
is today?
yeah. Thank you. Well, yeah, that's what my concerts are summed up as these days. But when I'm doing concerts and have concerts lined up, it's funny because so many things and factors go into it. So, you know, just even looking at the stage and thinking, how far can I walk? You know, I love walking, you know, to the beat, obviously, and, you know, walking with my song, and, you know, just preparing for every stage is really important, and preparing for the audience as well, who you're going to have. So a lot of things go into um, preparing for a concert lined up, getting, you know, the costume, what are you going to wear, what are you going to how are you going to act out, how long are you going to speak for on stage, what are you going to do on stage. I try to always, yeah, as you said, get that dancing in, and if I can't, and if the stage is quite small, then just bring it out with the lyrics, and yeah, try to give it all I've got, as usual. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta remember my question. Oh, what's your favorite part about being an artist?
Favorite part about being an artist?
Mhm.
My favorite part about being an artist is that I can bring messages across and have people relate to what I'm trying to say, or the messages that are going through my songs. The best part about being an artist, though, is, for me, I think, is being able to have my dream be my hobby, be my passion, and be my job, you know, and that's
Mhm.
100. That's amazing. And I'm very
Yeah,
humbled and lucky to be able to do that, because being an artist is a passion, is also a hobby, is a dream, and all of those in one. And when it's your job, then yeah, you're luckier than ever, I guess. So yeah, I'm very, very lucky to have that.
I love that you said that. Do you know Alan Watts, like the philosopher?
Alan Watts, no, I apologize, I don't.
Oh no, no worries. So anyways, he's this like really good philosopher. I think he is from Europe somewhere. I think it is. Don't quote me on that though, but
Yep.
he is really popular in the Western world. I think he passed away like 30 years ago, but he was really popular at bringing like the morals of religion and
Yeah.
incorporating that into like Western ideology.
Yeah.
Um, and there was one quote that I love that he made. It was, "Everybody wants to be a painter. Everybody wants to be an artist, but like you don't make that much money being that. You don't make money chasing your dreams a lot of the times, which is the sad part about doing that."
Yeah.
But and like like don't quote me on this. I forget the quote exactly, but he was just talking about he's like would you rather live a long life of being miserable, or would you rather live a short life of being happy as fuck?
Yeah,
Right?
it's so true. Yeah,
I love that.
I
Yeah,
have heard that,
for sure.
that quote before, and along the lines of
Mhm.
that, and it's true. I think a lot of people, um, that's also the downside of being an artist, is that, sometimes you can lack confidence, and your confidence can go down, and you think, well, why am I doing this, and is it worth it? And people have ups and downs in a lot of, actually, in a lot of domains, and in a lot of jobs and career paths. People can have lack confidence, but as an artist, I think you just, those criticisms and those obstacles, and the money making, that's not a thing. You just need to follow your gut, follow your instinct, and do what you love doing and producing.
Yeah, you got to take out all that background noise and say, "Fuck you! I'm going to do what I want to do because I love it."
And those no's, you're going to get them. I mean, I've
Mhm.
had those no's, and I've just kept on plowing through. And the criticism that you can receive, you have to weigh through what is constructive criticism and what is negative criticism. And that negative criticism can really bring you down. So it's about saying, okay, this criticism is constructive. I want to take on all the constructive criticism I can to better
Mhm.
myself as an artist and as a person, and then keep moving forward. There'll be no's all along, but you've just got to keep going to have that one yes, and that other yes that'll follow through. Yeah.
Exactly. All it takes is just one yes. You can have 100 no's, but it just takes that one yes.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I love your point about like critiquing yourself and like self criticism.
Mm.
Um, I know there's one quote that I've really been holding on to, I guess, now for the last like year, where it's always kind of in the back of my mind, where I'm always like, hey, you're being a little bit too hard on yourself at times,
Yeah.
which is true. Like people can be so hard on themselves, and I'm so guilty of that. But in my back of my mind, I'm always like, the people who can look at themselves the closest are the people who will be the most genuine and understand themselves, right? And not necessarily that fake person that, oh, I'm going to put my happy mask on, right? The people that can really analyze themselves and critique themselves are the ones that are going to be happy because they know who they are.
Yeah, that's what I think, and I think a lot of the time people think, I grew up with I guess constructive criticism, or having that harsh critiquing, doing ballet, or as my in my young years, and
Mm-hmm.
it really helped, I guess, not put up this wall, but know that, okay, criticism, will only make you stronger, type of thing. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be there, and you need to, yeah, auto critique yourself. If you don't challenge your own ideas, as we were saying before, people don't challenge each other's ideas these days. So if you can't even challenge your own ideas, or question why you're doing things, or change the way you're approaching something, then that's not how you're going to evolve. So you always need to be questioning and moving forward, and that's the way you develop as an artist, or as a person, or yeah.
No, for sure. I know, like kind of during this quarantine when it first happened,
Hmm.
that's when I was, for that first month, I was kind of just like, well, there goes the whole podcast. I'm not gonna be able to do this for 3 months or so, probably. And it got to a point for like a few weeks where I was just like, yeah, I'm probably just gonna give up on this. Like, it's just not really, um, I don't see it going anywhere. But then from me kind of giving up, even just for a few days, where I was kind of like, yeah, I think I might just put this on hold at least for another few years.
Yeah.
That's when I kind of found another why I want to do this. What are my reasons, right? Because I was just in my head, I was like, hey, why are you giving up on this? Like, you enjoy it. And I kept replaying those messages and asking myself those questions. And I got the answers I wanted to. And
Yeah.
ever since then, I've had more focus than I've had ever before on this podcast.
Before. Isn't
Like,
it true? It really is. And
mm-hmm.
I think this time, for some people, unfortunately, it hasn't been productive, and a lot of people are going through hardships and hard times. But I think it's the same for myself as with you, is that you take on this opportunity to go, how can I grow right now? What can I do? And I have a funny story about this. When I was
Mm-hmm.
actually working on cruise ships, we went to Antarctica for 5 months.
Wow.
And yeah, and being in Antarctica with no Wi-Fi, penguins, and orcas, and that's it,
Yeah.
was really sort of mind-opening. And then you think, oh gosh, we're not doing anything. We weren't even dancing on the cruise ship because the seas were so rough in the Drake Passage.
Yeah.
But in fact, it was one of the most awakening um, periods of my life. And same with this COVID, just being stuck with yourself makes you, or has made me more awakened in being able to look deeper and question yourself and question why, and then find other avenues to evolve and develop as a person.
I once again, I'm going to say I love that you brought that up. My one buddy who is actually a year younger than me,
Yeah.
he is like really, really mature for his age. And I've always told him this, where I'm just like, dude, it's because when he was growing up in high school, he was overweight and he was like really depressed as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So when he would get home from school, he would just lock himself in his room and just be by himself. And I think from that time of him just kind of being by himself, he was able to figure out himself
Yeah.
so well. So now whenever I talk to him, he's always that guy where I'm just like, okay, I can't, like, I got something going on in my head where it's like, I can't figure this out. What should I do in this situation? Like, I go to him because I know he has such a clear mind and he has such a good understanding. And a lot of that does come, at least I think, from him being by himself back in the day so much.
And having that perspective where you can introspect, which is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I've noticed that even now where it's the days where I am on like social media a lot during this quarantine, I'm always like clutter minded and I don't really feel happy per se. Cause I'm always like, oh, let's go check Instagram. Let's go Snapchat. Let's go see who's whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But those days where I'm just away from everybody, I'm not on social media a lot, I'm just to myself, are the days I'm like super happy. I'm like, my thoughts are clear. Right. Do you meditate at all?
I personally, I don't do yoga. I don't do this sort of meditation, but I've have meditation techniques, I guess, breathing techniques, which also help with the singing and rapping and voice tone and delivery. But they are breathing techniques where I sort of sit there. I may listen to classical music or, relaxing beach sounds and just have techniques to wind down and stretch as well. I love just stretching, just really getting the mind and body going together. And
just kind of get that focus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, for sure. I know a lot of people, like myself included, just kind of for inspiration and getting a different perspective. Do you like use, say, drugs, or do you drink a lot when you're trying to find inspiration, or do you try and just have as clear as mind as you can?
Oh, not at all. I've actually never taken drugs in my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but alcohol, yes. When we go out for drinks with friends, and it's funny how people say, you speak another language 10 times better when you're under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of find that that can be true with songwriting. Sometimes it will just flow through, but I never take drugs or alcohol, or take alcohol to get that inspiration. I think it's whatever mind space you're in. But yeah, I can be sort of in the studio, have a bit of a glass when we're not even trying to work on something, and just cheers because we've just brought out a new song or a new track, and then be like, oh wow, get really inspired and start quickly writing something else, and moving on to the next thing.
For sure. I know, like myself included, what I actually like to do is like I smoke and then I'll like do a little bit of writing for an hour or so and then just leave it. And then kind of come back, say sober, and like gives me just a different perspective where I'm just like, okay, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, where I'll do it sober and then I'll smoke and I'll read it and then I'll be like, okay, that was stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I've done so many freestyles where, with friends and things like that, and they'll record it and say, that was really good, that was great. You should, even post this. And I'm like, after at a birthday or something, it was a special little surprise present, I'll just give the birthday girl a freestyle, and they're like, that's great. And then I look at it and I'm like, no way am I posting this. This is not me.
Perfect. Now I gotta figure out what was my question again. Okay. So do you find that like it was weird listening to your own voice at the beginning?
Yeah, it's always been very weird listening to my voice, and it's funny because when I arrived in France and I was acting, and I had those small roles in films, and I was TV presenting. I found my voice in English and French, actually, the whole tone changes. I have a much more nasally voice in English, and when I rap, I try to really bring it down lower so that it doesn't
Mhm.
sound, I guess, nasally, and I don't want to make it annoying. And sometimes I think, oh, will that hurt people's ears? You
Yeah.
always critique yourself and don't like hearing yourself or don't like seeing yourself again. But I think it's really
Mhm.
important, everything that you do, to look back on it, and say, oh, okay, I did this. I did a podcast. Let's listen to it again so that,
Mhm.
to improve. Let's hear this song. Let's look at this interview, just to be able to improve.
No, for sure. I know when I first listened to my first few podcasts, that's when I was like, oh, is that actually how I sound? How the hell do people like stand talking to me right now? But then I kind of just got to a point where I'm just like, honestly, fuck it, who cares at this point?
That's the
I mean,
thing.
it's a lot different when it does come to music, though, because it does have to be quote unquote aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Um, but like for podcasts, I've just been like, who cares?
Yeah.
Where do you see, like, I know at the end of the day, you do have this huge vision or dream, if you want to put it like that, for your career. Like, where do you see that going? Like, what do you have a picture in your mind for?
I have a picture in my mind, honestly, of performing alongside Eminem one day. Really doing
Yeah.
and I'm dreaming big, and I have my fingers crossed that it would happen. That would be perfect. I would love to be on stage. I mean, I've been in France for a while. Perhaps looking at going to the US,
Hmm.
to perform there, and to bring out my music there. And I think it would also inspire me in different ways. The music that's released in the US is a bit different to the music released in Europe, and so would give me different inspiration as well. But yeah, I want to go further, and I want to bring the music worldwide, and
Hmm.
to everyone who. And I think English is a universal language. So when people listen to the lyrics, I think I want people to join in and have fun with my tracks, but also connect with the messages and the lyrics that I'm putting through in them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you find that, like, how do you find, what's your biggest, how do I word this? What works best for you for networking in a way? Is it touring? Is that the biggest way to kind of meet new people and grow your audience?
It is. It is. A lot of it is, I guess, being natural everywhere. It's funny because you could go on tour and network, and if you're fake and if you're not real and if you're not down to earth,
Mhm.
you do as many tours as you want, but people won't connect with you. So it's like now, being in the digital age where we're stuck at home. I'm doing everything online, and it's really hard to grasp, sorry, someone's personality through a screen, or just through listening to them online. And what
Yeah.
I'm really trying to deliver is that sort of face to face interaction, and being close with people and engaging with them and engaging with fans, and with any potential person who loves my music. I want to share that. And I think once all this is over, I think definitely, yeah, traveling, touring, going to events is very important. Surrounding yourself with positive people, people from the industry, and having all of those factors put in together, I think, is the best way to grow your network and um, develop as an artist.
Yeah, like there's a sense of authenticity that people kind of seek out in a idol in a way. 'Cause I know everybody kind of looks up to these artists as idols.
Yeah,
Um, I know even just like myself, like we're all my favorite rap artists. It's not necessarily the songs that I really like about them. It's who they are as a person. Um,
exactly.
like for me,
Exactly.
like my favorite rappers are like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome
love
lyrics,
love
Kendrick
love
Lamar.
their music,
Yeah.
but it's what they represent. It's who they are. It's the interviews that they give. everything about them as a whole. It's their whole artistic approach as well too, the message they're trying to put out. That's what really like yeah, like you can have your radio hit that might get you a million views, but
Yeah.
in a year, are people going to be listening to your new album you're going to drop, or are they still going to be thinking about that one single you released a year ago?
Exactly. And I think that's what's really important as well is uh yeah, I mean you could that's the thing, you can have one hit wonders, but are people going to listen to the album? And in albums it's much more personal, and working on an album you're unveiling yourself. It becomes very personal. You're putting together your story. It's part of
Mm-hmm.
the journey. So you need to be able to connect with fans, with people who enjoy your music, and with people from the industry as well. So people know that you've got your head on your shoulders, head screwed on, and you're down to earth.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people are trying to find a sense of meaning in music as well too. They're not just trying to hear about the money and the cars that you have. They want to. It's kind of like a form of escapism, where they want to have a sense of something they can relate to.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, definitely. I mean, I did a freestyle, which that we were actually in the studio and we decided to do a freestyle, and I remember being really sort of in a bit of a down mood that day, and
Mm-hmm.
we were in the studio, so four walls, and they were sort of closing in, and then this freestyle just became about this guy inside four walls in a prison, and who was going to get released soon, and his life had changed so much. And so I just this story was like, okay, about this guy who's being released out of prison after a long while, and all the hardships he has to go through. And that's not something I've lived, and but I got that inspiration from being inside a tight room, and then I guess people listening to that and who have gone through that, I hope that they will be able to connect with that.
100%. And people will. They'll be like, "Oh wow, this, she's really talking about some real shit. Let me go listen to a few other songs." Um, and I know you kind of mentioned an album, and I was looking. You haven't released an album yet, have you?
No, haven't released an album.
Mhm.
An EP's in the works, but for the time being, we've released, yeah, singles, because an album is very, very important to be able to release it and then defend it. The thing is, you're not going to release the album and then drop another track, the next day. When you release the album, you have to promote that for 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
So we're dropping tracks at the moment, and getting my music out there. And I think that the album will be where we get more personal, where we keep on the same journey. And obviously, the album will take in some singles that have
Mhm.
worked, that maybe the music videos have been released, but then bring it back to this sort of, I guess there's a story to it, to the album. So
Mhm. For
it's
sure.
it's in the back of our minds, and we've got the EP coming up, which will be the next step, and then yeah, an album for sure. I have my fingers crossed, and I know it's going to come. So yeah.
I'm optimistic it's going to come. I'm optimistic it's going to be an insane album.
Yeah.
Are any of your release singles going to be on your EP yet, or have you released anything from that EP or no?
We haven't released anything from that EP, and we're thinking that either one or two tracks that I have recently released, would go on there.
Okay.
So people can obviously go, okay, that was Audie B, that was that style or that song,
Mhm.
and then bring it in. But the EP will be quite different. The songs that I have lined up and that are not released are less mellow, less chill.
Mhm.
They're very rappy,
Mhm.
but then again, they're I'd say more poppy, as we were saying before, more commercial, a bit more dance
Mhm.
hall. I'm bringing in a lot more Latino vibes to the music,
Wow, it's gonna be
to the
awesome.
yeah. So really working with that, which is quite different. So it won't be very mellow. It won't be very chill. Yeah.
Um, did you have like a really big artistic idea going into this EP, or was it just, oh, let's just make some really good songs to go on to this?
Yeah, well, it's funny because the first song I that we released that wrote. I wrote on it in it Illuminated Soldier.
Hmm.
And then the second song I wrote, I don't know, it sort of came to me and it was like I would write the lyrics, and in the lyrics, I'd find myself writing again, Illuminated Soldier. And it was like as if something was saying, "Okay, I'm illuminated. This is my time to shine, and I'm the soldier soldiering on." And I thought,
Hmm.
that's going to be the name of my next EP or of my next album, you know?
Yeah.
So, this sort of illuminated soldier, I really want to conceptualize that, to have the songs that are going on it and that will go on it, and that's what we're working on, is to have that sort of power on, soldier on, because that's what I'm working towards, with this illuminated soldier theme. And yeah, I saw it sort of appearing in all my lyrics, when I'd be writing, and I loved it, and it just worked with Audie B, and so now
Hmm.
it's a part of me. So
It's an awesome like thesis, if you want to put it like that. It's, I know a lot of times you listen to an album and you're just like, okay, how are any of these songs related to each other? It's like, it just sounds like you just made a whole bunch of singles. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's, as long as the music's good, people will listen to
people
it.
will listen. Yeah, that's the thing. But you may have
Mhm.
some people who will, listen to the album for a couple of songs, and you may have some people who will buy the album to listen to the whole thing, and to listen to songs that are much more personal, to get to know the artist more, or who can relate to a song that's much more personal. So yeah, it really depends. I think you've got to have this range, not just sort of one hit wonders all on an
Mhm.
album. That's not how it goes. People don't. People want to connect with the artist.
Yeah, I think that's just a lost trait in hip hop right now, or at least one that's not as profound as it should be. I know, like do you know Royce da 5'9"?
Yeah,
Yeah, like his album he released, I think it was Book of Ryan. Like that was, I mean, excuse my timeline might be a little bit off, but just off the top of my head, that was like the last album that told the story all connected so smoothly. That was
yeah,
like released in the last 2 years, I think it was. And it's
yeah,
just such a forgotten trait. And I love that you're coming back with that approach of, okay, let's
yeah.
put an album
Well,
together. Let's not put a bunch of singles together.
yeah. Well, I think he's like many artists who still do that. Are, I guess, part of the old school team of rappers. You know, they're emerging rappers now will have, sort of these one hits, and a lot of music isn't even done on albums. It's just releasing singles, music videos. You see them. So yeah, for Royce to 5'9", well, it's very sweet of you to say that my approach is similar to that. But yeah, I do believe in the essence of an album, like you gave the example, is supposed to be a story and supposed to be engaging.
It's a forgotten art, right? It's like people, it's a movie, right? It's art.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's
It's
art. And, a lot of people visualize themselves in songs. Like, I know, I'll listen to a song and like completely imagine the film clip, the music video. I'll imagine myself in the music video, because you're
Mhm.
feeling the music. And so people want to feel that, in other people's songs. And I hope in mine, that's what I try to bring forward, is to really not lose touch of the soulfulness, I guess, and authenticity of a song, and what it should mean, and what lyrics should be put forward.
That's beautiful. Um, but anyways, though, I think my time is up.
Mm-hmm.
This has been absolutely incredible. I love this podcast. One of my favorite podcasts I have recorded.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
do you have anything you want to add on, or any type of shout out you want to give, or any upcoming dates you want to release?
Yeah, I just like to thank you, for having me on this podcast. I do want to thank, the team JS Music in Marseille. I want to thank people who follow me. It's really important to share us artists, and subscribe and listen to us. Every,
Mhm.
share and subscribe counts. So yeah, I'm everywhere on Spotify. I'm obviously not touring for the time being, so no upcoming dates, but I'll
Yeah.
be on Insta Lives for sure, without fail, to bring worldwide love and music to everyone. So if anyone wants to come on that journey, I'm in it. Come with me, join in. Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. We're definitely gonna have to do this again once your
Yes,
EP gets released.
that would be my pleasure. That would be my pleasure.
Do,
Yeah.
do you have like a date in mind for that EP yet, or?
Oh, well, we're looking start of summer if everything goes well. So if we're not stuck or second waves of COVID, yeah, it would be start of summer.
Perfect. All right. Well, when that EP releases, I will definitely reach out to you and see if we can schedule another podcast then.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, and yeah, look forward to hearing your podcast. And yeah, we'll be sharing the love as well. And
I
thank you
appreciate
so much
that.
for having me on. It's been great. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.